What's up, entrepreneurs? Tessa with IdeaPros here, and I am so excited to bring you a topic that really is near and dear to my heart, which is competition crushing marketing tools. I am here with Cary, who is co-founder and executive chairman for IdeaPros. Also, a really, in my world, he's a guru as far as the competition crushing tactics and how to really make a difference, make an impact on the world. So thank you, Fred, for being on these lives every Friday to glean, to give us some of your wisdom. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate being on here, and I appreciate all the people that come and pay attention to this, because I think it's important. And as I said before, we want to help all entrepreneurs, not the ones that are only our partners, although we help them a lot more, obviously. But we want to give tools to anybody who wants to start a business, get rid of their 9-to-5 job, give them the tools that they really need, or at the very least, give them a real understanding of what it takes to be successful, so they don't quit that 9-to-5 job if they're not ready for all the hard work that's involved.
Realistic, absolutely. So we're going to go through some tools. So we are going to share the actual tools with you on a screen share, but we're actually going to put a lot of context behind it. So the idea is that this will build out into an article with a lot of meat behind it. We're just going to skim the surface with a couple specific points that Fred thinks is really important when you're looking at competitors and how to really make an impact in them. I'm going to put a couple of the items up and let him talk about it. So the first piece, I guess, in this puzzle, we're going to talk about each of these individually, but the first piece is intelligence, and I'm going to let Fred take it away.
Okay, so when you go into a marketplace, you're never going to have that opportunity, at least for very long, to own it completely on your own. If you own something by yourself, I've said this before, it's not a very good idea, probably. Anything that has a chance of being successful, when people see you doing it, they're going to try to follow you and mimic you. Or you might be doing something that's a spin on something that people are already doing. Okay, so, and I'm just getting over a cold, so excuse me.
Aww.
So intelligence, before you start anything, you need to understand your marketplace. And I've talked about this before in other sessions, but the first thing you need to understand is the customer. Who are you going to be serving? How are you going to serve them? How is that relationship that you're going to have going to be different? And to completely understand that, you also need to have intelligence about your competitors. Your competitors are going to be there. Your competitors are going to be evolving. You really need to understand who you're going to be competing against for that dollar, for that customer, for that loyalty. And if you understand all those things and you stick with it, in other words, don't go and do your research once and that's it. Follow them, and we're going to talk about some tools to do that a little bit later on. But stay on top of your game. Get feedback from your customers even after you go live. Check out your competitors even after you go live. Intelligent.
Absolutely. Well, I'm actually going to jump in and make Fred look at SEMRush, which is one of my favorite tools for competitor analysis, because it's huge. It's the way that I do all of my initial research on competitors and what the landscape of the internet competition is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and this is where it gets creative. I'm going to make nope, I'm going to make the screen big. Here we go. So what SEMRush does, and I'm going to put a link in the chat here for you guys, but SEMRush looks at what's currently on your website, the back, what keywords you are trying to rank for, what content you have on your website. It looks at all of that information. looks at you organically and your paid search, your backlinks, your display advertising. Now, this is, if I'm Snapchat, I'm looking at this to see the health of my own company online. If I am looking at my competition, I'm looking to see what they are doing online. And we can actually see the top organic keywords that they are using and what is getting results. We have search volume here, so you can actually see what people are doing, and then you can see the main competitors. Now, this is in that space online of what's on the website for keywords. So if your website doesn't have the right keywords on it, you're not going to get the right competitors for this research, because you're not truly, that's not your space. So Gary Vaynerchuk is actually doing a lot of Snapchat and promotion around Snapchat. So that's why he's coming up, possibly even has, if we look up Gary, we can see specifically his keywords. So it's really a great tool. You can do 10 searches for free, and then it will ask you to pay after that. But it's definitely one of the biggest tools, and I use a lot more that comes with SEMRush. Just even this basic that you can do with the free is super helpful. So that's one of my tools.
That's an awesome tool. Again, intelligence. Really understand what's going on out there, what they're doing, how you can do it better.
Absolutely. So the next piece that we're going to talk about is determination.
Yeah, so you're not going to get up one day and figure out what to do, even with all this intelligence, and do it right the first time. It just doesn't happen, even with somebody really experienced. I've had a lot of businesses, and yet we're constantly reinventing what we need to do. When we're seeing things are not triggering the way that they should, you don't give up. You just find that perfect position. It's out there. There's a spot for you to be in. And that spot is going to change from time to time. So stick with it, be determined, continue to understand your consumer, understand your competitor, and get up every single day for a new battle. And we'll talk a little bit more about why I use the word battle in a minute.
Right. Well, and one of the things that you mentioned we could talk about as far as a tool is Statista. So is that is a tool to show us kind of the here, let me show it, and we'll actually let you talk about it.
Yeah, if we go, since we were looking at Snapchat, let's put in social media in there as well.
Social media.
So Statista, you can pay for one search, or you can pay on an annual plan and have as many searches as you want. Statista has incredible data, and if you see on the search of social media, and if you want to scroll down that a little bit, it's got everything from reports to charts. It'll tell you what's going on in the US, what's going on around the world, the latest trends, really a ton of information, so that if you can afford to do outside research, you can roll up your sleeves and use this site to get you a lot of information. Of course, as with anything, once you gather that information, you need to know what to do with it. And that part of it's going to lead us to the next point that you need to have.
Right. Okay. So the next one, and let me just redo so that we are both up here. So the next point is experience.
Yes. So with Statista, or with any of these other things, if you don't know what you're looking at, obviously they're not worth anything. If you're France and trying to speak French but don't know the language, you're not going to understand anything. It's the same thing in business. Get an experienced professional team around you, because all of these things that we're talking about, you really can't do it by yourself. And so for our partners at IdeaPros, they chose us to be that experienced partner. But if you're going to try to go it alone, and you do not have deep experience in all these things that we're talking about, find a team sooner rather than later, even if it's just a couple of people that have industry knowledge, that have a marketing background. I think marketing is the lifeblood of any organization, and it's really funny to me when people, executives, even seasoned executives, sometimes they'll look at the advertising and marketing budget, and if things aren't going so well, they want to cut that. The reality is, if things aren't going well, you need to increase it. Because that's really the whole cornerstone of what a company is all about. If you don't get that message out, nobody's going to know. If you don't change that message when you need to, nobody's going to respond, right? So you need to have an experienced professional team that's going to help you with all these points that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and my tool that I would put up is IdeaPros for experienced teams. So I'm totally cheating. I mean, don't even have to do a screenshot of that. It's just that they are so really good at what they do. And so my recommendation is IdeaPros. I'm unbiased completely. So the other one of the next pieces, and guys, as a big picture, this is going to be, it all is going to make sense when we have a visual up for you guys about the whole big picture of what we're explaining to you. But the next puzzle piece is admiration.
Yeah, respect your competitor. The easy way for a company to fail is to underestimate the competitive landscape. Believe that your competitor can do anything you can do, and maybe even more. So you have to be smarter, you have to be faster, you have to be on your toes. The great news is most competitors, even in bigger companies, don't pay as much attention to any of these points as they should. So if you follow all these things, if you do these things, if you go to bed looking at your charts, if you wake up in the morning to see what's changed, you're going to be well ahead of the game. But you have to assume that your competitor is going to be doing a really good job and that they're watching you as well. So be careful, be respectful, admire them really, because they're in the same place you are. They may be ahead of you. If you think something's really amazing and they think something's really amazing, well, you have that kindred spirit between the two of you. So always have respect. Which leads me to what I was talking about, battle. There's a book called The Art of War. It's a book written a few hundred years ago by a Chinese general. And it's been widely used in business. I suggest you go to Amazon, pick it up, The Art of War. It's a big read, but if you're going to go on a long vacation, bring it with you, and you'll be occupied. There's an article in the Business Insider. Do you have that link, Tessa?
I put it in already for them.
Oh, all right. Well, you're a step ahead of me.
Super fast.
So, this particular Business Insider article, and by the way, there are dozens of examples on how the art of war pertains to modern business. And if you look at this article later, not while we're
don't leave.
If you look at this article, you'll see it's the CEO of Snapchat. Again, we're trying to follow this same story here. Went out and bought this book for all his key employees after his first meeting with Facebook because he felt really threatened by Facebook, and Facebook, Zuckerberg basically told him that they were going to eat their lunch. So he ran out and got this for everybody. But this article is really cool because it gives you pointers on management techniques that are consistent with the book, and it gives you things about strategy, things that I was already talking about. Know your enemy, as they call it, and on tactics. How to, assuming that your competitor is looking at you, how to kind of hide what you're doing for as long as you can. And also on tactics, how to be really decisive, how to be quick, which are all the types of things that we have been talking about already. Finally, and there are more things in there, but I wanted to talk about this because often your competitor is larger than you. So The Art of War talks about exploiting your enemy's weaknesses and avoiding their strengths. So if you find out what those competitors are really good at, and they're way bigger with bigger budgets than you, don't try to go head to head with that. Find out what they're not good at and lead with that. Those one-star reviews I've talked about before that consumers leave behind for those competitors, gather them up as much as you can and see if you can build a business strategy around those things.
Perfect. There's so much information. Like I said, this is a fire hose method, as we love to do. So we'll put way more information in the article for you guys as well. We could do a whole show just on that, the art of war and knowing your competition, all the pieces that Fred knows from that specific book. So the next step, though, that we wanted to cover was performance, or the next puzzle piece was performance.
Yeah, so you can't just know what to do. You have to execute, and you have to execute well. So when you put all these pieces together, when you figure out what your position is going to be, what your marketing is going to be, how you're going to attract consumers, how you're going to hide some of what you're doing from your competitors, how you're going to exploit their weaknesses, you need to perform flawlessly. You need to be able to be tactical, be quick, get your message out there, pounce, and get that spot, hold that position, as they would say in the art of war, and don't take any prisoners, basically. So you have to get up. If you didn't do it right today, get up tomorrow morning and do it again until you perfect it.
Perfect. And then the next one would be resilience.
Yeah, so when you don't perfect it, get up and do it again, right? As I said at the beginning of the show, it's very unlikely that everything you do, you're going to do perfectly. But you can't let that let you down. You can't have one of your employees come in the morning and say, hey, did you see what Joe competitor did last night? It's going to kill us. No, it's not. It's going to give you another opportunity. So resilience is, regardless of what's thrown at you, the ability to get up and pick up the pieces, refashion whatever you need to refashion, and keep going. If you're onto something good, you're going to get there. You just have to get up and keep trying. I think it was Thomas Edison that, and I think I talked about this maybe in my first show or before my first show in some interview, where he was asked by a reporter, how it felt to fail 10,000 times in trying to create the light bulb. And he said, I didn't fail. It was something that required 10,000 steps. And that's how you should view things. Never look at anything as losing. Winning or learning. Those are the two choices. And if you use those two choices and only those two choices, you're going to make it.
Excellent. Sorry, I did the cardinal sin of not muting my phone. That's so bad, right? I know. We talk about it all the time. And a lot of these things, we're not actually putting up tools, but we do have, there are some, we'll incorporate in some of the ways that we do these in our article, so you can see how, additional resources like learning and the difference between learning and, obviously making a difference in your product. So I will make sure that all this goes into the main article. So now the next one, and we are on opportunistic right now.
So far you've been doing a great job of getting them all in the right order.
I know, so far so good. Now don't jinx it.
It'll be disasters at the end, and you'll soon see why. So to be opportunistic means to not be stuck with what your vision is. If you have, and we see this all the time, when we get first-time entrepreneurs that want to partner with us, and we come back after research, we come back after consumer surveys, and we say, this is not going to work this way. We need to try these other things. A lot of times you own what you've been doing, because a lot of times you think about it for 5 years before you call IdeaPros or before you execute on anything that you're doing. And if you are not opportunistic, if you cannot take advantage of the changes around you, you will fail. You might as well not even start. A good example of this is Quicken. When Quicken first started, it was strictly for somebody to do their personal taxes, to keep their personal records. And they started doing consumer surveys of their own customers. And they found out that there was a substantial number of their customers that were using Quicken for their small businesses. Quicken had no idea, no thought to go into the small business arena of business. And yet, when they got this data, they were opportunistic and they created QuickBooks. And now QuickBooks represents 90% of their revenue. So be opportunistic, get a pulse on what's out there, and never be afraid to change your mind or to change your direction. Because if you don't change, you're going to stagnate. And if you stagnate, you're going to end up being like Royal typewriters who, when IBM decided to call themselves business machines, Royal typewriters decided to call themselves typewriters, and they're dinosaurs. You guys don't even know what a typewriter is.
I do. I had one. I
Oh,
remember. That ages me. I'm sorry. So I actually, the last one of what we're going to cover is about social. And I'm going to go ahead and put that one up. And then we have a tool to add on to that one as well.
yeah, and Tess, you're a real expert on social, but so maybe if you want to add some words when I'm done. If you don't, that's great. We'll
For sure.
dock your pay. So social right now, it's beautiful out there because everybody can learn about you, even if you have a limited budget. How? By being social, by being on social media, by creating content that'll go viral. Make things that are interesting. If you don't have a big budget, why don't you do a 30-second video that's fun and interesting and compelling, and maybe just mentions your product like this much in that. It's shocking how many millions of views you can get if you're using content that people want to share. And so take advantage of social media in several ways. Number one, you take advantage of it, like I just said, creating compelling content that people with limited budgets can utilize to get the word out. Number two, make sure that you have all your social media arsenal that you have, like we do, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, LinkedIn, all of that stuff. Be in there, be relevant. Number three, I think a really important thing in this day and age is be authentic. People are looking for companies that, aside from social media, who are just social, who have some cause, who have a direction, who have a purpose beyond just making money. So the more you can be authentic, the more you can be true to yourself, the better you're going to be, and the better that customer is going to feel about you. Because in today's environment, you don't want just a repeat customer. You want customers that love you, because when they interact with you, they feel in some way that they're giving something to society. If you, excuse me, sorry, donate 3% of your profits, for example, to the homeless shelters, or to helping feed the people that are impoverished, whatever it is, if it's consistent with what your brand is all about, that really makes you a more respectable business party within this big globe of businesses. Makes you stand out. So be authentic, and you can find out about your company through Google Alerts.
Yes.
I want to talk about Google Alerts.
Yeah, I will go ahead and pull it up on the screen. So basically, I use Google Alerts. Obviously, I have a couple in here already. I'm using Google Alerts to keep an eye on a couple things. My brand, my name, often as a creator, as someone who's an influencer, we would be putting in Fred Cary, for example, or something like that, to keep track of what's being said out there. Because when we're being authentic and we're being real, people are hearing, the word's out there, they're spreading the word for us. So we want to obviously say thank you if there's something that comes up. So we were talking about Snapchat earlier. So if I wanted to look up Snapchat on a regular basis, there's a website I'll stick in the link, but you can actually just Google Alerts and it comes up, and you pick the alert you want to have go out, and it actually sends you the news, anything that's out there that's about that topic. So again, some of the things that I would suggest putting your on for your, let me just move this so we can see us again. When it's some of the things that you might look in Google Alerts for would be your brand name. your company. So if you have a product specifically, you might be looking at how people are searching for it. You would look up your company name, your competitors, because it's good to know what they're doing, and then keyword phrases that are common for your industry, so that you can see what people are writing about. If somebody has an article that's out there about your topic, you might reach out to them and say, hey, you know, you covered this already. Maybe this is an area of interest, and you can get your items covered on their site. You know, so it's a great way to build influencers, to keep an eye on competitors, and also keep an eye on your reputation that's out there and what people are saying about you.
And it's free.
And it's free.
All this information is just out there. You know, and it's one thing that I talk about to our partners all the time. We do literally all the work that it takes to go, in most cases, from concept to a product that goes out there. Like all the products that are going out on our Launchpad right now that you should go check out. But as hard as that is, that's the easy part. You know, the hard part is to grow your business, to keep it going, to roll up your sleeves, to be in the loop. Nobody's going to come and partner with IdeaPros and have us hand the keys to them and be able to sit back on the couch and do nothing, and all this money is going to come pouring in. There's a lot of hard work involved in growing a business, in maintaining a business, in keeping an eye on your competitors, in understanding what your consumers want and reacting to them, in getting the world to love you. That's what it takes to be successful. And that's why these 8 points that we brought up. Do you have all the 8 points?
I do. That I just created. Yes, hold on, let me make it happen. So this is the why. And I'm not as graphically, this will go to a graphic designer, I promise, but this is what the points that we covered today break down into.
Yeah, and if you look at the first letter of every one, you'll see it spells IdeaPros.
Exactly.
Coincidence.
Absolutely. So I just want to say thank you, everyone. I'll take a couple minutes and say hi to people, get the messages up on the screen. Yep. But thank you all for coming, and please visit the blog. We have lots of articles that come out on a regular basis. This one will be up soon, and that is ideapros.com/blog. Fred mentioned that the Launchpad as well, so you can see the products that are already up there at ideaproslaunchpad.com. And if you want the resources, guys, if you want to be notified about these upcoming lives, please put down in the comments to say notifications, because I will send you will get a text or an email right before, so you don't miss out on the lives, or you can sign up to get replay. So if you want a replay, put replay in the comments for us and we will get it out to you. So thank you all so much for coming. And Fred, do you have anything you want to leave us with before we head out for a busy weekend?
Yeah, two things. Number one, we have a new section on the Launchpad to really humanize what's going on there, because it's really not just about the product, right? It's about the story, the motivation, how somebody working that 9-to-5 job that I was talking about, how they decided one day that their life was going to be different. And so we have a section there called Meet Our Entrepreneurs. We have 3 entrepreneurs up there now. We're going to be having all of them up there. It tells their story, what motivated them, where they are now, where they expect to be going. And so go, it makes really good reading. And while you're there, support them and sign up, favor their products, and be there when we're ready to launch. So work hard, study hard, never give up, and you're going to make it.
Excellent. Thank you all so much.